All right, y'all. DJs Are Not Jukeboxes podcast, episode 8. We are back. Yeah. Make some noise. We are at a new location, which is really exciting. Shout out to Q4.
Hey.
And, you know what I mean? The space is dope. The energy is right, and we're out here at back at it. So
it smells like paint fumes, by the way.
It definitely.
We're all getting high off fumes.
I feel like I'm back in high school, hanging out with all my graph friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Like in a basement or in a garage right now.
Oh, so you guys are all crying together.
Yes. Super.
And just
How
talking
did you know?
shit about each other. That's
How
awesome.
did you know?
Because nothing's changed after all these years.
And just like that, we go right into who our special guest is now. Let's go real quick around the room, introduce the team, and then we'll get right into our guest this evening. As always, my name is Send.
DJ True.
Big ones.
I'm Artist, a.k.a. Sorry About Last Night.
And we will accept those apologies. And, of course, we've got the homie Revise in the building today as our special guest. Make some noise. So let's just kind of get right into it. Let's kind of give the whole origin story, the whole background.
As far as what?
Well, I guess you should preface it. Not only a DJ.
Yeah, you're a man of
but
multiple
an
talents.
esteemed artist.
Esteemed chef. You know what I'm saying?
And I use steam to cook, bro.
Hey.
Damn.
Yeah, so I mean, like, with all of that, you know, let's kind of back up and...
Sure. Yeah, I do art, I DJ, and I cook. These days, you know, it's hard finding a balance between all three, but, you know, I need to, unfortunately, the restaurant world doesn't pay off as much as it may seem, but doesn't mean that, like, you know, I have to do the restaurant stuff because there's a lot more responsibility with it, but the other stuff is what keeps me sane and what keeps me, you know, enjoying life. You know, the beauty of having hobbies that actually turn into passions, that turn into careers, and be able to make a living off it is that it is fun to do. Cooking in theory should be fun and, you know, passion driven. But I think once you become a manager, you kind of lose sight of it and then kind of just get right into the responsibility of everything, and everything falls on your shoulders. And you do a lot of drugs and drink a lot and fucking want to murder people. But that's just, you know, the beauty of it, right? That's like with any passion, right, guys?
That's real.
Is that
right?
Yeah.
I'm murdering people all the time.
Yeah, you want to kill people, right?
I'm
That's
on all
good.
sorts of drugs at the moment.
Yeah, I want to just punch people in the fucking face.
Constantly high in anger.
Yeah. Good times.
So let's start. Where did what was kind of the first lane that you jumped into with all of this?
I would
Start
say the first thing I ever did was the art side.
Okay.
You know, growing up in CPS system, grammar school, you were always exposed to a lot of different walks of life, a lot of different cultures and, you know, ethnicities, which is great growing up in the city. And my locker partner was no exception. He was really cool black kid. His brother did graffiti, super, you know, dapped out all the time. I was his locker partner, super nerdy, super Korean. Just, you know, grew up with the music, you know, grew up with that culture because all my friends were into it and shit, you know, because of our older peers and brothers. But he always had drawings in his lockers, and I would always, you know, be like, yo, do my name, dog. I never said dog because I wasn't that cool. I'd just be like, yo, I didn't even say yo, can you write my name for me, Donnell? That was actually how it went down. I wish I sounded cool in 8th grade where I was like, yo, man, do my name, dog. I was like, hey, Donnell. It'd be really nice if my name was in that style of letters.
Yeah.
Of course, he, you know, wanted to get boners from girls, so he would only do girls' names, which is totally fine, which is totally understandable.
Understandable.
When you're 13,
Yeah.
12, whatever the fuck.
Shout outs to boners.
Yeah, he was probably like 18, whatever, but he only did those names, and I just vowed to do it myself because, you know, it was something that interested me, and, you know, riding the train lines and buses, I'd always be exposed to graffiti and stuff like that. So it was something that just kind of struck me as an impressionable youth, and I kind of took it with me to high school. And, you know, I was already involved with the whole hip-hop thing. All my friends were, you know, getting into DJing, you know, already doing art, breakdancing. You know, when that whole, like, second wave of breakdancing came back in, like, the mid to late 90s, all my friends were doing it. actually, sorry, early 90s, mid 90s. So, you know, I just kind of grew up and got enraptured in it, and it became an obsession. And I think that the art side led to the music side, and, you know, the exposure of like digging for records, you know, looking for songs, looking for music. And, you know, the thrill of that, you know, going to like Tower Records and just thumbing through CDs and cassette tapes and stuff like that. And just being exposed to a different kind of the alternative side of rap music. And seeing just everyone do it just out in the open and not have it be so publicized. It was like our own little thing that we kind of fell into. Yeah. And then, you know, that led into the food. The food came about much later in life when all the other things were like kind of at a low as far as career-wise. I was like, all my friends that are into hip-hop are doing food now. There's always a market for jobs out there available. This is when the market crashed in 2009, or second Great Depression, whatever the fuck that meant, because there's still restaurants being open left and right and bars. So I thought the only thing viable for me to do, because I always had a love for food as well, you know, in the sense of being growing up poor with a single mom, and mom always cooking and me always, you know, she always made little like favored things that she knew that I liked. So that was always very nice, and I always like took that to heart, and, you know, kind of always carried with me. So food was a viable option. You know, I worked front of house, and I was like, you know, I'll try to go to culinary school because that's the only thing that people are giving free money for. And it wasn't free because I'm a fucking idiot. I already had a bachelor's, and I was like, sure, I'll go back to school. And then quickly found out that culinary school is fucking stupid. It is absolutely useless. And I learned way more just helping out friends, picking up side jobs here and there. This is a very long answer to a short question.
This is exactly what we want, though.
So basically, it all just kind of intermingled with each other, because when I was still going to culinary school, I was still hip-hopping, quote-unquote. I was still doing graffiti. I was still DJing, picking up gigs, because, you know, these are all side jobs that, like, paid pretty well. You know, whether it was just beer money, hangout money, or just bills even, you know, it's something that was viable for me, and something that I could still to this day, I'm still learning from and still trying to get better at. Yeah. You know, I would never say that I was ever content with whatever level of, you know, skill I was at. And I'm still not even close, in my opinion, in any of the fields, which is why I would die a neurotic, hot fucking mess. And, you know, it's a very weird, insecure thing to have to go through, trying to do all three creative things, and, you know, get paid for all three things, which is another weird thing. But, you know, I feel like I'm fooling people every day, and it's fucking great. I feel like I'm getting one over on people, and it's working. I love taking strangers' money. You know, and, you know, I'm grateful that there's a great market here for all three things that I do, and, you know, to this day, it's, you know, like I said before, it's a great learning curve, and it's something that I can always still learn from, and it's always advancing. There's always new shit happening in each thing. And sometimes it gets a little muddy because it goes too fast in one field. Right. So when I'm trying to catch up on the DJ equipment, like the latest DJ equipment, I didn't get a Serato till fucking, I don't even know when. I kept refusing the technology. But now it's like, look at that fucking creative record. I used to carry that shit, you know? And the same with spray paint, like all the tips. I refused to use the new shit that came out. And then once I used it, I was like, holy fuck, my life is just like so much easy.
Do you find it difficult to like balance like all three, knowing that?
You know, I was talking to Nigel about this before. Like it was at first, but then, you know, the way I always tell people is that, you know, all you have to do is just schedule. If you just schedule everything and just like do what you say you're gonna do, which is like, you know, it's so funny, like these days, people are surprised when you do what you say you're gonna do, like what you're supposed to do. If you commit to something, you fucking do it. People are like, that's like the norm. It's like, people are like, oh my God, you're here. It's like, I said I would be here because I'm a fucking human being.
I feel like that's like a hip hop thing. Like, yo, dog, let's get up, you know, and just never.
Let's build.
Yeah.
Punctuality.
Yeah. I have cut those people out of my life.
Yeah, good.
So to kind of piggyback off that, something that you mentioned earlier about, you know, the creative side of it, and, you know, now, you know, you're in three very respective fields that are built, you know, solely around creativity. You know, if you really think about it, in that respect, and then having the discipline, you know, that you're kind of speaking of as far as like just being there. So how does that translate with the creative side? Like, you know, across having these 3 platforms now, like, and the you know, the creative discipline. How does that?
I think the discipline is all the same for anything you do in life, right? So it requires a lot of practice. It requires a lot of your time, dedication, and, you know, passion at the end of the day. You know, you have to be all in it in order to succeed in any of those things. You know, that goes for life, right, in general.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you know, when you speak of creative things, it's, you don't give up if, you know, you don't give up if like, you know, you're not getting better, you know, like you have to believe, you know, like, not to sound all coachy and shit, but like, you gotta believe in yourself to a certain degree. You gotta know that you're always constantly getting better, and you gotta constantly fail, and you gotta constantly keep doing whatever you're doing. Because if you're, I mean, this is a terrible thing to say, but I have told some people, like, hey, if you're not getting better by like age 35, you might want to fucking hang it up. You know what I mean? The unfortunate thing about these kind of passions, that, you know, it is something you have to start off when you're young.
Yes.
You know, with the exception of cooking, I would say, but like the art and DJ stuff, like, if I see a 40-year-old trying to start painting, I'm gonna be like, it's a great hobby you have, but you know, I hate to break it to you, son, it's not gonna happen for you. You know,
no
or
doubt,
daughter,
no doubt,
or whatever.
No doubt.
So you know, the discipline's all the same. It requires time, it requires sacrifice, and I think, you know, the beauty of all the things that I do is that, you know, I've let myself immerse my whole self into these things because I love each thing and I have a passion for each thing. I'm neurotic and so fucking narcissistic about each thing and constantly insecure and jealous. So I think all those things kind of fare well for wanting to continue and thrive in this thing, you know, and not being content.
For sure.
I think when people are content and say, like, yeah, I've reached the pinnacle of it, that means you have nowhere else to go. That means you reach the pinnacle. That means you're at the fucking top, and you're not.
No, not
you know what I mean? I think even, you know, everyone in our respective fields, like, would say that I'm not there yet. I'm not the best at anything.
Right.
You know, Kubrick would never say he's the best. He's still fucking pulling shit out of his ass still, which is crazy. You know, Thomas Keller, you know, would never say that he's reached the pinnacle. He would never say he's the best. You know what I mean? Any graffiti artist I know would never say that, like, yo, I could quit, I could retire, I hit it. But, you know, it's like, no. We're all just, you know, we're all constantly looking for something, for that next plateau, for that next goal, you know. I think that's a driving force between anything, for anything creative, you know.
Yeah, that's great advice.
That's what drives that passion, though, too. I mean, that's huge, and in anything that we do as, you know, creatives, and where we have to even try to be remotely successful.
That's why we do a bunch of drugs.
Right.
I mean, we look for another plateau or avenue or vision, right?
Escape.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's got to be, because this is our reality all the time. Like, you know, this constant, like, it's almost like sometimes it feels like your feet are just never set. You know, like, I have these days where, like, it feels a couple of days passed and it's been like a month. And it's like, holy shit. And it's a great month that passed because all these amazing things happened. But then at the same time, I almost feel like, am I appreciating it how I need to, like, as a human being? So, you know, like, that finding that balance is super difficult sometimes as a creative and a human. And it's like, it's really dope that I think you said it already, where you've immersed yourself. I don't want to botch the wording, but like you've completely kind of become vulnerable to everything that you're doing, and you've allowed yourself to become part of everything. Which is really dope.
I think that's the most important thing, is to just, you know, it's always just be able to step back a little sometimes and just be like, well, that wasn't so great. But, you know, I put out food where I was like trying to convince myself, like, yeah, it tastes pretty good, and then knowing that, you know, there's like that little tiny voice in the back of your head that's like, that tastes like shit. And it's like, you know, you have to be 100% confident in whatever you put out, because, like, you know, the rest, you know, you're feeding strangers, you're exposing yourself, you're putting yourself out there.
And at the end of the day, you know, you're the only one seeing the flaws until someone else sees it. So
and someone else will pick up on it. If you don't believe in it, someone else out there will definitely point it out.
Quality control is a huge thing, right? No matter what field you're in. Yeah, exactly.
If you know a blend isn't going well, but you're like, oh, well, you know, it's good enough.
Right.
Someone's gonna be like, man, that was a freaking train wreck.
Right.
Man, that mix wasn't that smooth.
And that goes back to being honest with yourself and always pushing yourself to, like, get, you know, like, if I would, you know, like, train wreck something and, you know, on a club night that would make me want to get better to make sure that never happens again.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, no one's got to remember that 45 minutes of good you did. They're going to remember that one 30-second mix.
And neither do we, though.
On.
Because, I don't really believe in perfection, but we are, perfectionists to a certain extreme, to a certain respect. And, we lose sleep over it. We lose time, whatever it is. We lose our minds over it. Again, going back to that's why we do drugs.
If you care, you lose your mind over it.
Yeah.
There's some people out there who just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
They're just I'm going to do my job and go home.
But that's the people I'm talking about, for sure.
Exactly.
There's us here.
So it sets yourself apart at the end of the day.
For sure. And that's where your passion, really becomes your identity. And it's really, really dope because anybody that comes across anything that you do, whether it's, the art on canvas or art on a plate or, sonic art, they're going to see that. They're going to see that you care about it. You actually give a shit about what you do. The type of records you play, the type of music you serve, the style of, art that you show someone's eyes. There's a certain, level of, integrity to it and there's substance to it. So it's dope that translates. And all the mad crazy nights, they make sense after a while. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it's funny, I always think about this the other day. I've lived most of my life in the nighttime. You know what I mean? I think we've all just grown up to just accept that we're just night owls. And we go to shows, went to parties back in the day and stuff like that. And, this is what we thought was just simple fun and entertainment ended up being something cultural. Whether we realized it or not back then, now when we look back on shows like those Hip Hop 2000 shows, those Sonotech nights, all those things were just so significantly cultural because they're all back in the spotlight now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I'm just remembering.
Keep saying Sonotech, just that.
I mean, that was such a great era, and I think all of us are fortunate to be in the same age group of that era where we actually had to go find things on our own.
The three of us are a little bit older than these.
You had to call me out.
I mean, both of you guys. Yeah, okay.
I'm 34.
A little bit.
The sense of adventure.
But that whole Wicker Park scene, that birth, especially the three of us, dude, that was
a certain era.
That was such, and I tell people all the time, that was such a moment in time that'll never happen again.
Never.
And it was such, basically all of us are here because of those few years.
You guys were spinning those nights while
every
I was
night, man.
hanging out.
I
was hanging out at these nights, just kind of getting accustomed to what the fuck was happening.
Yeah, our whole crew ran that entire neighborhood for a good number of years.
But then you gotta also remember, there's that sense of wonderment of curiosity and wanting to go out and look for things, even if out of your comfort zone. I remember going to the old rap downs in the Fulton Market area. I mean, the old rap down parties were they were hood.
I don't even know nothing about that.
Seal used to throw those fucking parties.
Okay.
Those are hood as fuck. I would go in high school and I remember hearing about it. Yeah, Seal Fresh would throw that shit.
Okay.
He was the king of fucking. He was the king. Tom was the fucking king of hoarding into old school lofts and just living there for months. He was
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
These are old stories. When I was in high school, hearing about this and going to the parties and being this dude's a shit. That's gonna live forever. But now he probably has 14 kids, whatever. But I remember going to Tower Records looking at Graph Mags, and then they would have all the Chicago graffiti magazines would have the intersection. They wouldn't have the exact address. They geotagged it in analog form. And I would get on the bus.
I never knew that.
Oh, yeah. I would get on the bus and look for these walls. I'd be like, what? I was 14. I was I don't give a fuck. I'm going to find these walls because I want to see this person. Amazing. I want to see how this shit is. I would climb the fucking line. Just look. This was before I was trying to do illegal graffiti. I just wanted to see this shit in person.
Yeah.
I would walk around alleys, the city was bustling with shit, which is dope.
Yes. Yeah.
There was a very certain specific type of energy that you were talking about, Ian, that was it was all around us.
Yeah.
We couldn't get away from cool baggy jeans and Nautica shit.
Right,
Rich euphonics back in, Hyde Park wearing Tommy Hilfiger gear that, I would not look as cool in,
Yeah.
This is all impressionable youth shit that I remember growing up in the scene and, not even thinking about having it ever continue to be a part of my life, And that's when I met Intel and Jason and Jake and all those guys. These are all relationships that all came from the creative world and the creative field, but they're all just really good people. You know? They're all just really nice people. They were fellow nerds. They were fellow enthusiasts and researchers in a sense.
Totally.
And that's how we all got along. That's how we still to this day remain really close friends. Like, I don't have to see these guys for months, but like, we could pick up right where we left off. That's the beauty of this kind of friendship. And, you know, the whole creative side is like, I won't see people for years, but literally the minute I see them, I'll be like, yo.
Just like all time,
that jacket looks terrible on you. You know what I mean? And then someone will be like, you're still Chinese. I'll be like, yeah, I guess I am. Like, that makes sense. But, you know, that's like the beauty of it. Like, and that's why I love, you know, this field. And it's like, it's hard to explain to people sometimes, but, you know, not to say that we're some kind of exclusive group. I never want to, you know, give the impression that we're exclusive by any means, because I think we're all pretty, you know, tolerable people, except when I'm drunk, but, you know. But yeah, I mean, it was a very certain special time when we grew up, and it's, you know, I think it shaped who we all are and how we hustle and do our thing now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
All that discipline back then to want to look for things for free, to spend our money on, you know, painting walls for free and shit. I still do that to this day for fun, you know?
It's funny that you said that, you know, you guys were like low key like researchers, and that's dope. That's a missing element, I think, in a lot of
absolutely.
Just everything in life nowadays. Like the fact that you would go, you know, risk your life just to go look at the shit, not even partake in the. I mean, you're partaking in the culture by being a fan of it, but you're not even doing the art yet. You're just there to absorb the art. Like, that's some shit. Like, you know, like, I know I was breaking curfew, going out of neighborhoods that I shouldn't be, you know, to get music, to hear music that, you know, go by friends' houses that I knew had music that I didn't have and I couldn't get access to, like hip hop, way too early of an age. You know what I mean? So that I feel that lacks nowadays, and like it's almost like the old guy syndrome, where they tell us, like, you know, it's like a certain stigma where, you know, it's like we're not cliquey. We're not at all cliquey. Like, we just have a certain way of thinking. So it's not that like we try to act special or that we try to be different or anything like that. It's just like when you come across individuals that happen to think like, you know,
we're just into similar
you're gonna
shit.
Vibe. You're gonna vibe, and it can't help that if it just happens to be a little different than the norm. You know, it might be a little more advanced for some, but you know, it's definitely a missing factor these days, and I think it's really dope that all of us kind of came from that respectively and all crossed paths after however many years. And we're all sitting here now talking about these times, you know, when Wicker, you can get fat caps back at, you know, 6 Corners and, you know, shit like that. And everything like that.
So much more convenient when it was in the city.
Right.
So I want to go back. So you were saying, like, back when you were 14, you were climbing walls and everything just to see all the graffiti. Like, I know you started writing around that time, like, relatively early. Like, when did you realize that, like, okay, like, I'm pretty good at this?
I don't think I realized that. You know what?
Not that, okay,
you know,
because I know
right.
we just talked about, like, you never want to say.
Yeah,
but,
I know what you mean.
I mean, there's a certain point where you're like, okay, like, I could possibly do this.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that I was like 18 or 19.
Okay.
Actually, probably 36.
Yeah.
I was 36. I just realized this like 2 years ago. I was like, maybe this is something I can do. I think I was like, I think all high schoolers are kind of get cocky. They think that their ideas are like, you know, have never explored. They think it's, you know, like, oh my God, since I thought of this, no one else is doing it.
Yeah. But I mean, especially for something like art or graffiti, where you're putting it up for people to see.
Right.
There had to be people coming to you being like, yo, this is like serious.
Some people, so that's the thing, you know, and I will say this again about the internet. It's like, thank God we didn't have the internet when I was growing up, because everyone told me that I sucked at first, which
Really?
is great. Oh yeah. My brother was like, yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, that's good. That's
Well,
awesome.
right. That's what made me want to work harder instead of like taking these empty compliments and just accepting it as fact. So I think once I kept practicing, I would say about at 18 or 19, I would see improvements. Every week I would draw more and more. My high school books are just covered with ideas. I think the more and more I got into like different styles and like being able to be influenced by other writers and stuff and other just pieces of artwork, and I was able to translate my ideas onto paper. I think that's when I started to realize like this is something I could advance with. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And you know, like I was exposed to graffiti, you know, growing up around the city, but then you know my dad also used to do embroidery for all the graffiti writers at the Clark Mall.
Crazy.
Yeah, he used to do, and I would just see names and be like, what the fuck does that mean? I'm like, oh, civil. What does civil mean? because they were getting all big.
Oh, dope.
My dad was that guy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just talked to Civil about this other day, and he flipped the fuck out, which is hilarious. But yeah, and then I think like college was when I got more confident with using cans and spray paint and being comfortable with like, you know, putting myself out there. You know, it was abstract, definitely. People did not like my work at first, and I'm fine with that. I knew I'd be a little more alternative. I mean, the fact that I was even Korean.
Well, yeah, you don't want to you don't want to pander and just make like some,
right.
you know, yeah.
I didn't learn the traditional way. I didn't learn the whole tagging, bubble letters, throw up. I learned piecing, then bubble letters. I went backwards. To this day, I'm still practicing my tag and still practicing my signature, but. You know, like the art stuff, yeah, definitely around college, I would say. And then, you know, now it's taking like a back to it. Now I'm like playing catch up, I feel like, with the young kids out there. They're not even young. I mean, like 40-year-olds are learning awesome new tricks out there that I try out, you know. I just painted a wall before I came here, and I noticed visibly how much more like effects and other like tricks I'm using instead of like just straight contrasting stuff. I'm like, trying out things that I've seen recently, you know what I mean? Just so I could be like,
never stopping to
I just want to make sure that I'm up to date.
Yeah,
I never want to be outdated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's terrifying to me, right? I think that's every like aging person's fear.
Right, but again, it's like you go back to like if you are really into this, whatever you're into, the fact that shit's getting scary out there is a good thing. Because if you really want to do this, you have to be like scared. You know, and
become that natural.
Yeah, for the DJ shit, man. There's fucking, 12-year-old fucking kid just won the DMC. Like
DJing is in particular is very like you can trace like the paths of people's techniques, and like if you get to the point where that's like the only technique you're known for and that's all you do, that's it. That's like, that's literally you're done. And if you're not striving for more than that, like. Shout out to Toltec. He always mentions this, like innovate or die, more or less. So
don't be a one trick dog.
Yeah. So like speaking on that too, like there's like for the DJ stuff, there's a lot of guys like they came up in the 80s and 90s. They're like like they won't use Serato. You know, they hate all the new music, and they skill wise they peaked at like being able to blend records and like maybe Baby Scratch. I'm sure there's a lot of guys in both the food world but especially the graffiti world. Guys that were like considered pioneers a few years ago that just
stale out.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I don't like what this new style is not for me, or like you're mentioning the caps.
Oh, absolutely, the weird European paint. Oh, the guy has to be Rusto or nothing. I stole this Rusto. I'm like, you're a 50-year-old man. Like, there's other ways to steal these days.
Yeah.
Like when I was working at Whole Foods, I would steal from them fucking constantly. I would order. That's how you steal. That's a smart way to steal. Like, you're gonna fucking risk your fucking freedom over a goddamn Rust-O-Link can when you could just bill it, invoice it. That's a modern way of stealing.
Yeah. Self-checkout.
You know what I mean?
Vegetables instead of the shrimp that you're actually.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, you can pull carts all day still, I guess, but like, why?
I forgot you worked at Whole Foods. That's right. Yeah.
I just steal from them all the time, food and everything, like booze and all this shit. Like, there's hustles. You know what I mean?
Go.
Yo, Whole Foods. We got your guy.
Yeah, we got your guy.
I mean, I know where they keep their towels. I used to steal bags of towels even after I quit there for catering jobs. I was like, 'cause I knew where they hid it. And I was like, that's the hustle. You know what I mean? Like, why even risk it when you could just smooth it in? You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, there are guys out there that, of course, are like, oh, I don't get this new style. It's like, well, you should, because if you like,
want to live,
you cared about it at one point,
right?
But now you just don't want, you just refuse to accept anything that's new, and that's a personality flaw in that person.
Exactly. I think that's the funny part, though, because like everything is a constant evolution, and like if you're not really willing to accept, like that's the irony. Like we're always aging, we're always evolving, but no one's willing to evolve.
But what's funny to me is that like when they were doing graffiti and young, there was a generation before them that acted the exact way,
same way
towards them, and so you would think they would learn and be like, well, I'm just trying something new,
right?
To something that you're not doing back in the 70s, and me as an 80s writer, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You would think that they would progress into the 90s and 2000s and now 2018s. So, I'm all for, like, I'm always a little hesitant at first for, like, the new technology, only because I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And that's my flaw. It's not that, I'm not into it or anything. I just... the old man in me is like, oh, I gotta learn this shit again.
Right,
buttons, what the fuck?
I think that's what scares off a lot of people, though. That's kind of like, that explains a lot, though, because I think a lot of people are like are unwilling to learn like new technology because it scares the shit out of them.
Yeah. Also,
like,
we got so comfortable you learning the old stuff, and now there's a new thing already.
They're not willing to change.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the that's kind of like my favorite thing with like these DJs that talk shit about like, you know, they go on YouTube and like go in the comment section just like
Trolls.
There's the real hip hop guy, there's the guys like, man, use needles, that type shit.
Yeah.
There's that, you know, that's funny because with cooking too, there's that clear separation of people that use like modern day techniques.
Yeah.
They actually make life easier, like a sous vide bath. Like there would be you know, that's like cooking in the bag, you know,
Right,
control
to a certain
temperature. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So the beauty of that is it's like set it and forget about it. You can set it to a certain temp and you could keep it in there and it will stay that temperature, which means during service, if you're slammed, just zip open that fucking thing, put a crust on it, it's done, right?
You don't have to sit there and watch it. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't overcook.
Yeah, it doesn't overcook. But like other people that don't quite understand it, even though it's like super easy to understand, in my opinion, will hate it and be like, well, we use real fire. It's like, yeah, that's nice. So do we.
Right.
You know what I mean? So do these guys. It's just they're doing it in a much
to fake fire.
Yeah.
You know?
They're just doing it in a much quicker way and to keep temp. Like
Because fire is a skill.
yeah.
You know,
I mean, but so like there's you know like the maltodextrins, like the chemical, like the creating caviar with this, the gastronomy shit. Like I totally respect it. You know, I think but I think there's only certain people that can actually pull it off.
Okay.
And I'm not, I don't want to get into that field, but it doesn't mean I don't respect it and recognize that it's a real form of advancement on food culture.
But you're just not interested in.
I'm just not interested in it.
Point.
Doesn't mean I won't eat it. I'll eat the shit out of it all day. I've been to plenty of tasting menu places where they use all these techniques, but I'm not going to sit there and be like, I wish these guys used some fucking fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or why don't they just like put a chicken on a plate for me?
Fire. Yeah.
What's all this other shit?
Yeah,
It's like no, like that's what this shit is now. Like it's moving a certain creative thing, fast forwarding it forward.
Yeah.
Same goes with DJing, like the phase that came out. And for those who are unfamiliar with the phase, and I don't know why you're not, but like the phase is basically the solution for DVS to use it without needles. And when I showcase it, and there's been videos like surfacing,
looks like that.
Looks like that, yes. Looks like a vape pen almost, or a flash drive,
or an old school Bluetooth.
Yeah, but the fact what got people tight was that they saw no needle, they saw no tone arm on the record. They're freaking out like, oh,
that's
man,
not real DJing.
Yeah, that's not real DJing. What if the needle's not gonna skip? That's a skill too. Like, no, needle skipping is chance, B. That's not a skill to like maintain your
needle skipping is your shitty record that it's warped.
Shout out to Chad hating because like your Chad voice totally came out. That was beautiful.
Yeah, man. That's my Chad voice.
He's like, hey, dude, just never made up. Bruh.
But that's kind of like the annoying thing. Is just like there's so many innovations go in the world and a lot of people working on said innovations, but there's always that one dude who wants to shit on people's work because they didn't come up with it first.
It's fear. People are fucking scared of anything different. Whether it's food, whether it's something that they see that's different, whether they hear something different, people, clothing, like fucking whatever it is, man. Like
the fear of being outdated, and I don't know, it seems kind of backwards because like if you don't want to be outdated, then
stay up.
Get up to date.
Stay up. Like,
or are you going to stay in the old shit?
My favorite parallel is there's I forgot, like Jay-Z's Blueprint 3. He said, I don't wear skinny jeans because my knots don't fit. And like look at 2018, he's wearing skinny jeans now. So apparently his knots fit.
That was a Picasso joint, if I'm not mistaken. He was talking about that shit.
So,
now he definitely rocks skinny jeans.
Yeah. But no, I mean, like that's kind of like that's like one big fear for everybody. But I think personally, as an artist, my biggest fear is kind of just becoming jaded to the craft. Like, do you ever find that hard to like combat? Like, especially for doing as long as you have been. Like, and working in 3 different fields too. On top of that, do you find it hard to like maintain creativity?
I think because I do the 3 fields, I think it's kind of nice that I could kind of bounce back and forth, so I don't get too jaded on one thing.
Right.
I think the whole reason why I started cooking was to offset the DJing and art, and the reason why I started doing art is to offset the DJing or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Shout out to Adderall and
Drugs.
And I figured
sponsored by drugs.
Sponsored by Big Pharma.
Shout out to Dare.
So I think it's great to to be able to bounce back and forth between the three, because if one gets stagnant, I could start doing the other thing.
Right.
If I feel like all three is like, oh man, I'm just not making headway in all three things, then I'll just go out and eat, or go out and listen to a show, or listen to some music or something. You know what I mean? Like it's
something to reinvigorate yourself.
Yeah, something like that. I think that's a downfall for me too. Is like I feel like if I concentrated 1,000% into one thing instead of like separating like 30% here, 30% there, 30% there, I feel like I could, maybe be successful in one thing. You know what I mean? Maybe I can actually make a living, which would be nice.
But isn't it more satisfying to spread yourself thin? Sometimes
I think spreading myself thin comes with its negatives and positives, pros and cons. It's sometimes one can be way more demanding than the other. Running a restaurant, for instance, is definitely very demanding. I've definitely missed out on a lot of things that I wanted to go to, artistic, like paint-wise or DJ-wise. I've had to say no to some gigs I really want to do, things of that nature. But, sometimes one thing's more rewarding than the other. I guess it all just depends on the situation these days. I think, right now I love painting. I'm getting back into painting a lot more. I like the freedom. I like just being by my fucking self. To tell you the truth, I love just painting. Like painting that wall in the alley today. It was just like I was left alone with my own thoughts, my own weird fucking my weird little personality where I could just like talk to myself sometimes and not have to tell someone what to do. I don't have to worry about if someone's gonna like the music or not when I'm when I'm playing or whatever. So like painting just gets me back to my individual, like this is me as a whole, like this is my product 100,000%. Yeah. Because no one in the restaurant's gonna be able to do this. But you guys are all very, very good at DJing, so you guys can take my job in a second. You know what I mean? Anyone else could cook my food if I show them how to, but no one would be able to paint what I paint on a wall. Yeah. Because that's my shit. Yeah. So.
But I think you're selling yourself short as a DJ too, because.
Well,
Sorry.
I think we're all train wreck. Yeah. I love train wrecking.
Maybe all put together,
train wrecking is fun.
Like good.
Collectively,
Voltron.
Like, we're one good DJ as a collective. Like
I'm definitely the Goutfoot out of the group. Yeah, definitely the wild card. Like some days I'll be like, I'm not gonna fuck your toe up. I'm gonna be good. And other days I'll be like, train wreck, just to keep you on path. You know what I mean?
Your wording is impeccable, sir.
I'm lucky enough to be Filipino. I don't have gout, but I am prone to have diabetes, so I got the other half.
You're young, don't worry, it'll come. It'll happen.
It'll probably happen. I'm not denying it won't.
They're all tied in together. After 35, it's just all shit.
Damn, I got one good year left.
One good year.
Well, moral of the story: if you don't want to be jaded, and if you're having a hard time DJing, and if you're complaining about needles, just take on knitting. Just knit.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, hobbies are so important. Yeah. Hobby, like, having something to do, focus your energy on something else is so fucking crucial. I think, it's funny because the only reason why I even started DJing is my friends left their turntables at my house on the kitchen floor.
Really?
Yeah. They obviously gave a fuck. They just left their fucking Techniques 12s.
Wow.
Yeah. This was like in 97, 98 when I was throwing house parties. Yeah. They just left it there with the cheap Gemini mixer. Remember the Transform? They left that. They had all state-of-the-art shit at the time.
Wow. Shout out to the Scratch Master.
Yeah, and then I literally was just like, you know what? I was in college at the time. I was like, I'm going to buy some records. I bought 2 records, and I listened to those 2 songs over 1,000 fucking times. The People Under the Stairs record will be there. And then I'll try to mix that into like an Anacon song.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna artistically do this, man.
But dude, that's something that nowadays people that have computers and you can have every song on the planet.
Yeah.
That's what they don't get. Like, not to again sound like the old man, but like you said, you bought 2 records, or you can buy 20 records.
Yeah.
When you're starting out, you only have those records, and if you want to do this, you got to figure out like, how do I mix these records together? And like, you pick the Anacon record and you pick the People Under the Stairs record and you mix them one way, and then you're like, okay, let's try the other way. Yeah. And then you buy a 3rd record and you're like, all right, let me put this one in front of this one, and then you have to try to figure it out the other way and like figure out what sounds best. And it's like always like, with equipment or music or whatever, it's like you work with what you have. Like you have those limitations.
Yeah.
And that, you know, like anything creative, you know, if you have like a white spray paint can and a black spray paint can, as opposed to every color and every cap on the planet, like
you just learn how to use it.
You have to learn how to use it. You have to learn
I
how to
just
use
remember
what
that
you
eureka. I mean, you guys all had that eureka moment when you blended two songs. You're like,
my God.
holy shit, this is what's supposed to sound like. It sounds awesome.
Yeah.
You spin the instrumentals, you're like, holy shit. It's like,
it's on. Yeah.
it's like, holy fuck, I'm mixing two songs.
Yeah.
Mom, can I hear this? You know, and I think all those moments, like I remember when someone taught me how to do a 2-click flare.
Yeah.
I did it. I was like, holy shit, it sounds like it's supposed to.
Right.
You know, like I think that's when you become obsessive about a pattern, right? When you realize you're supposed to do something.
Everybody has that
do.
aha moment where something
Yeah.
major clicks, and you're like, okay, now I really want to do
And
this.
then it became obsessive.
Yeah.
And then I spent all my money on records.
Yup.
Every
This
single
reminds
day.
me of, like,
Yeah.
my
Low
first
key
year
though,
and a
I did call for my mom when I learned like my first.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was like, Mom, check this out.
My parents didn't get
She
it.
was like, I wish you were an accountant.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
That shit legit brings me back to like my first couple of years of this. I had like 8 records because I could afford with the shitty Newmark turntables that I had and matching Newmark mixer. But yeah, I learned the shit out of that.
The blue, the little blue one, or the
It was the silver one that had digital effects on it.
Oh,
It was
God.
something new.
Oh
It
yeah,
had like a little toggle switch.
Yeah,
Like,
okay, I remember.
on
Yeah.
like so at the edge, like you have like the top of the mixer and then the front of it where you plug in your headphones. On that little lip was like a little LCD screen, and you could look at like the 8.
I was about to buy that mixer at one point in my life.
It was cool, but like the fader was just all bleed everything.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it was
Like,
just-
I bought
it was
that
a
mixer.
bloody
That was my
nightmare.
second. I had a lesser version of that mixer. It was like the version below that one.
And I got mine at Midwest.
I got mine at
used.
Sam Ash.
Shout out to the layaway back in the
Oh,
day.
Midwest. Yeah.
out to the
I got
layaway
all my
plans.
shit from them too.
I just sold them a turntable actually. Last
I had,
week.
and like, it was crazy,
Nice.
like, yeah, like 8 of the records out of the 8 records that I own, like 5 or 6 of them were like all Moment records. So like everything was kind of easy.
Oh, there
I
you
still
go.
have my moment.
But I still
Yeah, I got
didn't
a few.
fucking know what I was
Yeah.
doing. I had no idea what I was
They're
doing. But
beat to shit.
that moment though of like, oh my god, that's what this shit's supposed to sound like, and that came from like I had homies that like to freestyle, and like
Yeah.
my whole thing was like I can't stop the music, and one day I got it, and they all looked like, oh
Yep.
shit, and I was like, oh fuck, now I can't, I have to do that.
Now
all
I gotta
the
do this
time.
all the time.
Yeah,
Fuck.
no
Now it's
pressure,
work.
no pressure.
Now I'm the
Now
loop
it's work.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything to
Yeah,
wrap up
I
on?
was curious because, like, for all the disciplines you're in, you know, say, like, for me, cooking is a hobby. I enjoy doing that. That's something that's therapeutic for me. It's something that gets me out of working at the computer all day or, you know, working on Ableton all day, digging for music. That's, like, my getaway. So, like, with everything you're in, any one of those could be considered a getaway for a creative individual. So what else is there for you to get away to?
God, that's a good question.
Besides drugs.
Yeah, besides drugs,
have drugs
fuck.
on the table.
Besides drugs and goldfish crackers,
Sponsor.
I would say, like, honestly, just spending time with friends and, you know, hanging out. I think that's a great release, and just seeing friends do their craft. You know, if I see you guys out and DJing, and, you know, I go to some of the shows and support, actually, believe it or not. I love seeing that kind of shit, you know, just a lot of times when I'm not cooking, I will turn to art and, you know, paint and, you know, just do canvases or whatever, just laying around or draw. I actually don't cook for therapy anymore. Definitely not. If anything, that's the last thing I
last thing you
do
wanna
these
do,
days
yeah.
is cook. But I do love cooking at friends' houses. You know, everyone's always worried, you know, like, oh man, you know, you're here and you're cooking. I'm like, well, it's because it's like second nature, but it's like relaxing because it's no pressure. It's just cooking for friends. You know,
Yeah.
food is a whole different, you know, therapy thing for me. It's nourishment. It's something. It's a necessity. You know what I mean? So I take it that way because, you know, it's something. You know, growing up poor in the city, you know, like it's, you know, seeing my mom make all this food and churning out all this shit while working full time. It's like, you know, those kind of memories stick in your head. And I remember joys of being so ecstatic about certain food items she would make, not caring about whether, you know, it came from Jewel or Dominic's. It came from Aldi, you know, and I don't care if the produce came from wherever the fuck. I just know that she turn these shitty ingredients that I didn't like individually, mash it into something great.
That's awesome.
And, those are the kind of memories that I have about food. So I'm always grateful to be able to share that kind of food, and that's very, therapeutic and releasing to me. And because I don't have to, there's no pressure of, taking people's money when I'm cooking at friends' houses or cookouts and shit like that. It's just purely experimental. It's you guys all do it every once in a while. It's something we could all relate to. Food is like this open-ended book, this story that everyone has to do. Not everyone has to paint. Not everyone has to play music.
Yeah.
You have to fucking eat.
Yeah, that's great.
You have to shit your brains out every once in a while. It happens. It's cause and effect. It's the beauty of food. I mean, what's the truth though? We've all had stories about eating something raw by mistake, or ingesting something you shouldn't have. You're like, man, I ate too much of this.
Finding out you have an allergy to something.
Right. There's all these stories, that everyone can relate to.
I think the funny thing about this is really off topic now, but the funny thing about eating, if you eat something really shitty and you if you rather if you do something really bad and it traumatizes you, you're not gonna do it again. You're always gonna eat.
Yep.
You're always gonna
absolutely.
eat.
You may not eat that one item again,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you will still eat.
You're still gonna eat.
Yes, that's a fact.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the release is just, quality time, actual quality time.
Yeah.
And just, sharing, passions, I think is always a good thing,
Being on the other side of
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Sharing is caring.
And doing a bunch of fucking cocaine.
Lots
Just
of
mounds.
drugs.
Yeah.
Shout out to our sponsor.
Yeah.
Drugs.
Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Big Pharma. I think I
More
think
like
that was
Big
it.
Parma.
Big
Am I
Parma.
right?
Big Parm.
Huh? Big
Parm,
Parma.
baby.
Yeah.
Any housekeeping things you want to talk about? Anything DMC wise? Shout
Do you have
out.
anything else you
Shout
want
out
to
to
talk
everybody
about?
that came
Anyway,
through.
wait, you need to promote your.
Before
Oh,
anything.
yeah. So.
You haven't even talked about your restaurant, really.
Oh, yeah,
really
no, it's
quick, man.
fine.
Just plug
You have a little,
everything.
Yeah,
you have
I
a
have
little
a-
anniversary coming up.
Oh, yeah. I have a 2-year anniversary coming up. May 5th. Yeah, we should have closed down a fucking year ago. So. I'm doing a 12-hour party, 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. A bunch of DJs.
This is at Kimski.
This is at Kimski.
Oh, yeah, where's your
Oh yeah, I have a
restaurant?
restaurant. It's in Bridgeport. It's on 31st and Morgan. We do Korean Polish food or some bullshit
It's so
like that.
fucking good.
It's all right. So we have a 2-year anniversary coming up. I got Serengeti to do some songs. We got Robust inserted himself, so he's on the bill.
He inserts himself.
But I like his music too.
Shout out to Mario.
Yeah, and then I got a bunch of DJs. I think I'm gonna get a bunch of other food vendors come in and sell food. It's just gonna be. I didn't do shit for the 1 year, so I figured do it for the 2 years. Otherwise, I spend the first Monday at Sportsman's Club, third Thursdays at Ludlow Liquors. I don't know. I paint.
You're
stuff.
there? No, that's like
Yeah.
a block from my house.
Ludlow's great.
Is it dope?
And now you
Okay.
know where Ian lives.
Yeah.
Now we know where Ian lives.
Yeah, Logan. Represent.
Stand out on the corner and yo,
Yeah.
what?
Yep.
Yeah, it's really weird that I didn't see you shower that one day though.
Yeah, I know. I woke up late.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a man of consistency. You know what I mean? Like, it was weird.
Yeah.
That Thursday was very odd for me. Yeah, threw me off.
Oh, shit.
Oh lordy.
Oh yeah. Also, remember when you're cooking at home, always high heat and then lower it to medium.
Yeah.
You're allowed to fuck with your heat. You don't have to keep it on high heat.
See that, kids?
That's how you not burn.
Yeah.
Fuck with the
Sound
heat.
advice.
Yeah.
Sound
Make sure
advice.
your proteins are dry when you put it into oil. Pat that steak dry, seasoned. Pat that chicken tit. Pat that fucking fish shit dry. Put it in hot pan.
Gradually reduce.
Yeah, let it get a
Okay.
crust.
Okay.
Lower the fucking heat. Then you could cook it through and not burn that shit. And
Okay.
then throw in all the other bullshit you want to make it taste good.
You sound like you're on TV.
Well, I just want to make sure because that's the moment everyone thinks cooking so hard. It's like it's just all about controlling the
To
heat.
watch
Yeah.
a cooking show with you. I think that shit would be phenomenal.
Dude, that would be
Well,
amazing.
Man.
Well,
phenomenal. Let's just.
Well, I was on Cutthroat
Let's hear
Kitchen
about
3
that.
times.
Oh, that's
saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I
well,
forgot about that too. Shit.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. I was on some
But you
other
won,
bullshit
right? Didn't
show.
you win?
Yeah, I won like twice.
Okay.
But I got to
No
meet
big
Mark
deal, though.
Summers. That was the best part.
So
no
crazy.
way. From,
Yeah, meeting Double Dare.
Double Dare, yeah.
Yeah, that was the best.
So dope.
And Valley Bernelli. But who cares about her? Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
He
right.
needs like an instructional
set.
cooking.
Go!
show. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I'm like, definitely didn't give me a boner this time.
You need the YouTube instructional cooking.
Yeah.
show.
Dude, Cutthroat Kitchen.
Cut
Yeah.
the chicken tip.
Oh, also check out Sleeping for Suckers. That's still happening.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
Okay.
video blog thing that I do. I don't know.
Which I was once on, and
Yeah, we had a feature with Eric. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Hey.
We went to
eating,
go. What did we eat?
We ate African food.
Yeah,
right?
West African
Yeah,
food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's good.
That he's never been to, right down the street from his house. That we had to take him to.
They had like mad footage of me eating, so that's
Nice.
always a plus.
Yeah, it
It
was
was watch
action.
me eating, Sleeping for Suckers.
That food was really good.
It
too,
was
though.
really good, yes.
It was really good.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, you didn't even know it was down the street. They sold like bars of soap and fucking dashikis,
Yeah, it's kind of like it's.
along with your like goat stew and shit. It was awesome.
It was tasty. It was mad
Yeah,
tasty.
it was really good.
Thank you for having me on that.
Yeah,
By the way.
yeah, it was great.
Anything we'd like to mention housekeeping?
Big ups to everybody that came out to DMC, making
Yeah.
our third successful year.
And Dre Day.
Dre Day, 10-year anniversary.
We sold that bitch out, man.
Hold it out.
Which was the week prior to DMC.
The week prior to DMC.
right?
Yeah, we've had
DMC.
so yeah, if any loyal listeners might wonder why we've had to take a little bit of a break. We
Yeah.
had two major parties happening back to back. So we've been a little out of the game, so to speak. But
Been moving.
We've been off the podcast,
Yeah, man.
grid, but we're definitely out here.
Making real world moves.
right,
We gotta.
Real world money.
Something's on the deck, but we'll get to that. Some other
Yeah,
time.
we
Many 2-3 things on the deck.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. For now, we'll just appreciate the new podcast space that we got. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The new,
that's
the
a
new
big
office
thing.
space.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, but anybody that came out to Dre Day or DMC, thank you again
Yes.
so much.
And
man.
big ups to DJ Toltec for taking US
Yeah.
Supremacy.
Yes.
Shout outs to my CTA brother. And
Yeah,
also
man.
DJ Remedy, man, from the Baltimore for
it.
taking the regional, so he killed it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very high level of competition. Not as many competitors, but man, it was really good.
Solid showing, yes.
Yeah, Toltec. Oh man, I'm so happy for him representing Chicago and the United States.
Also, shout outs to Christy Z
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, for
as
coming through
always,
again.
As always.
and the Fresher Thans for that matter, Brace and Vex.
Yes.
They were
Yes.
okay.
They're all right. Yeah, it's not like they won
Shout out to
the
606 for letting us have the meet and greet
Yes,
there as well.
yes, yes.
As always, the homies. Be sure to visit the website, djsnotjukeboxes.com. Keep up with all the news. Get all your merch.
Yeah, we
still
got merch for
a couple of
sale.
hoodies. We got some hoodies available still. They were a lot of merch went at DMC, which was really, really fly. So thank you to everybody spending money and putting it back into our budget, not our pockets. 'Cause, that's where it's going.
Yeah.
If you want a 4XL hoodie, it's still available. So if you want a blanket, more or less, it's still available.
And of course,
Snuggie.
big ups to our special guest this evening, Revise.
Yay! Woo!
You know what I'm saying?
AKA Genghiswon, AKA Juan Kim.
Yeah.
Chef Juan Kim.
AKA. This the fucking
I'm ordering a wedge salad right now. So excited for this shit.
Yo, we appreciate you as always, and of course, all of our listeners. We do this for you guys. We can't be here without you guys. So
True.
We appreciate everybody. Hit that subscribe button if you have not. And thank you for holding out for this episode. It's been a couple months since we've been out here, but the summer's looking real, real good, and so is everything else for DANJ. So until then, we are out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hit me with the volume. Hit me with the volume.
My volume's down.
Hit me with the volume.
There we go.